What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and if it's your first time, hi. Today I'm going to talk about a button that I use a lot on the camera. You can find this button on most DSLR cameras, mirrorless cameras, and also point and shoot cameras. And if you're not too sure if you have this button on your camera, look for the word AF somewhere on your camera. So go ahead, pick up your camera, we're going to get a little hands-on, and I'll show you one of the buttons that I use the most, the AF back button. Alrighty, here's the 1DX Mark II, and the AF back button is located obviously at the back, and that's why it's called the AF back button. And you can find it here on the 1DX Mark II. On the cameras that you're using, just have a look at where the AF or the word AF is written on one of the buttons, and that's most probably the autofocus button. Now it works exactly the same way that your normal shutter autofocus works, but all it is what I call a standalone button. The reason why I call it a standalone autofocus is because it actually overrides the shutter button focus. Usually when you take a photo, you press the shutter button halfway to focus. And after pressing your shutter button halfway and you've locked onto your focus, you then press the shutter all the way and then it takes the photo. Now that's a normal way of taking a photo, whether you're on a DSLR camera, mirrorless, or a point and shoot camera, but it can be limiting at times when you want to take more than one photo, one after the other. So what you would normally do is focus on your subject, then take a photo. Then press the shutter button again, focus on your subject, and take a photo. Kind of like this. Now what's actually happening is you're focusing, then you're taking a photo, then you're refocusing and taking a photo again. So the time that it takes to take multiple photos is a little bit longer than it should be. So now what's happening is you're focusing, then you're taking the photo, and you're doing that for every single photo. But what if you just wanted to maintain your focus, keep the focus distance that you have, and take multiple photos? That's where the autofocus back button comes in really handy. What you're able to do is use the autofocus back button to actually set your focus, and that'll then set the focus distance of whatever you want to focus on. Once you've actually got your focus with the autofocus back button, you can then press your shutter button without focusing. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to focus with the back button, and then I'm going to take a photo with the shutter. Here we go. Gonna hit the shutter. And as you can see and hear, when I hit the shutter button, it didn't need to focus because the autofocus back button overrides this shutter button focus. What that allows you to do is use the shutter button just to take the photo without refocusing. I'm gonna take a few photos with the autofocus back button and then take a few shots with the shutter button. So this is what it looks like, this is what it sounds like. Focus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those 5 photos were taken at the same focus distance when I used the autofocus back button. So the really cool thing that you can do with the autofocus button is kind of press and hold it and move your camera around, and it'll keep the same focus distance no matter where you go. This is handy when you know that your subject is going to be at the exact same distance from you even if they move. Or it's a great tool for when you want to compose or recompose your shot and get your framing right. You can focus on something, then position and reframe. I tend to do that a lot with subjects that are still or they don't move, and you focus on them first with the autofocus back button, and then you compose your shot after that. I'll most probably do another video talking about composition and framing and how to take a photo and compose it and keep it in focus. So look out for that one. But for now, let's continue on about the AF back button. Specific to photography, this button is super handy. For the times where you've set your focus on your subject and your subject gets obstructed or things or people move in front of your subject. If you've used the autofocus back button to lock your focus and to set that focus distance, then you'll still maintain the exact focus that you set. No matter what might come through or obstruct or pass through your frame, you'll still have that focus set. I know what you're also thinking. You're thinking, can't I just shoot in low continuous or high continuous shooting modes? Yes, you can. But I find it a nicer way to be able to control when you want the shutter or when you want to capture your images. If you just have it on low speed continuous or high speed continuous, you're getting these constant captures with the same amount of time distance between each shot, which, don't get me wrong, is fantastic and great when you need to capture a particular moment. But what I've found is when you're in control of what you want to capture, it makes you a better photographer. You start to anticipate things. You start to look at things in a different way. You look for moments that you want to capture. You don't waste shots just because you can or because you're shooting in high speed continuous. You don't just shoot and then hope for the best. You start to think about your shots. You start to think about your framing. You start becoming intentional about what you're shooting. So yeah, I think using the autofocus back button can make you a better photographer. Obviously, I'm not saying that you shouldn't use the shutter button to focus, but what I am saying is if you start to think about why you use certain things, what other buttons can actually enhance or maybe make me a better photographer, then go for it. I think the biggest thing for me is that the autofocus back button overrides the shutter button. So then the shutter button just becomes exactly that. It just takes the photos. And for me now, the autofocus back button is a habit. It's part of my muscle memory to actually focus. And using that autofocus back button allows a bit more flexibility and also creativity. So that's it, guys, for today's video. I hope you've learned something, and I hope that you go away with thinking about how you're taking photos and how you can actually improve by using the features, the functions, even the buttons on the camera to shoot better. If you've enjoyed this video, go ahead, give it a like, and also subscribe to this channel for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.